Good morning. Today we have with us Ms. Ashima Srivastav, Senior Consultant Clinical Psychologist at Max Hospital, Parparganj and Reconnect Neuropsychiatric Clinic. To start with, I would want your perspective on to what extent do you believe that social media is a negative influence on the minds of the young users, and that social media platforms have least regard for the minds of its users.
Yeah. So there are certain factors like cyberbullying, unrealistic, beauty standards set online, and constant comparison that leads to feeling of inadequacy, anxiety, and low self-esteem among the young generation. The the curated nature of the content which is posted, it may create a distorted view of the reality, contributing to these issues. Also, cyberbullying on such platforms that could involve online harassment, which can lead to increased stress, anxiety, and even depression among young generation. The constant exposure to the idealized images which are visible online and the lifestyles, they can create unrealistic beauty standards for them, fostering significant body image issues and self-esteem issues. Moreover, the culture of comparison is heightened on these platforms. As users, they often tend to showcase the highlights of their lives. This can evoke feelings of inadequacy and a fear of missing out. Additionally, the addictive nature of scrolling that also, through the endless content can contribute to decreased productivity and output, and also can impair the sleep pattern, further impacting the overall mental well-being of the young generations and the young users.
So how does it impact, their sense of reality and how they perceive the outside world? How would you say they start to understand how the world works?
They try to they become so much obsessed and occupied in the online content that they sometimes try to perceive this as their real world. The virtual world seems to be real to them, so they tend to look out for virtual friends, for virtual relationships, and virtual social interactions. And when there is increased amount of approval of likes and acceptance and good comments on their pictures which they post or the content they post, they look for out for validation only through the online content. So that makes them feel more satisfied, and they gradually lose interest with the real world. That is interest with the real world, they try to look out for virtual interactions more and tend to restrict on interacting with their peer group or other people in the real world.
This disconnect with the real world, uh, is it a major factor when we talk about uh, the young users or users in general suffering from mental health issues?
Definitely, it has a lot of negative impact, right? They seek validation and virtual approvals. They try to tie their self-worth to online approvals only. And the constant comparison on the social media, it triggers a sense of feeling of inadequacy, which in turn fosters a lot of anxiety and depression among these generation. And fear of missing out is a major contributing factor, which leads to the onset of a sense of significant isolation amongst them, thus impacting their overall mental well-being.
Yeah. So there have been instances of cyberbullying, as we've noted. A few months back, there was a young kid named Pranshu, 16-year-old, who was bullied uh, since he was into makeup and dressing up. And he was bullied to an extent where he decided to take his own life. Can you elaborate on certain such instances where cyberbullying has impacted largely on the health of these users?
It has significantly impacted right from the COVID times. If you remember, there had been so many cases which had been reported, and even in our clinical practice, we end up receiving so many, inputs from parents. They come to us with the chief, presenting concerns related to their children having online addiction for 12 hours long duration, which impacting their overall lifestyle and overall mental and physical well-being. And there had been lots of cases wherein cyberbullying has been reported, and it has impacted to such a deep extent wherein they tend to distort it, you know tends to distort the reality for the youngsters, fostering unrealistic expectations from for them, and also exposure to the idealized version of other lives. It contributes to feelings of inadequacy and lower self-esteem. Also, apart from that, cyberbullying on social media platforms, it takes various forms, like the constant threats they receive, public shaming, hate speech, and exclusion that significantly impact the mental health of these victims. Also, the persistent harassment, it leads to heightened anxiety and depression. And the public humiliation, it contributes to a gradual erosion of the self-esteem among this generation. The emotional toll is exacerbated when the victim faces discrimination and identity theft that leaves them with a sense of powerlessness. Also, they tend to feel exclusive, and the social manipulation what further intensifies the mental health toll. It fosters a feeling of isolation and loneliness. So, disturbingly, cyberbullying has been associated with also increased rates of suicidal ideation.
Since we're talking about cyberbullying, there have been uh, policies. The social media platforms have certain, buttons like report the certain accounts which are bullying and all. But do these platforms have any specific policies to, counter such incidents, cyberbullying incidents?
Yeah, definitely. There are lots of policies, uh, you know, like social media, the various platforms they have being enforcing various policies and have been practicing also to prioritize the mental well-being of these users. Like, for example, first of all, I would just highlight here that there are certain government implemented policies which regulate the social media platforms and the digital spaces, and they have been quite effective. Like, to begin with, I there is Indian regulation, like the information technology regulation 2021. They mandate the social media intermediaries to appoint local grievance officers who could address the user complaints within 24 hours and use automated tools to remove illegal content. And also, monthly compliance reports detailing complaints and actions are taken, which are very, very highly required at that point of time. And also, data protection legislation has been implemented. So, in the process of formulating a data protection law as per the Personal Data Protection Bill, which was generated in 2019, it regulates the personal data processing. There are other intermediary guidelines that enforce the rules for social media, OTT platforms, and digital news to appoint the grievance officers and adhere to the content moderation guidelines. There are other certain cybersecurity measures like National Cyber Coordination Center, which has been established to monitor and respond to the cyber threats when they are reported. Also, there are periodic internet shutdowns which occur in specific regions for law and order of or the security reasons. And also, as per the section 69A of the Information Technology Act, the authorities they issue requests for certain users, which also helps in blocking the content and takedowns under legal provisions. There are certain digital literacy initiatives which are being implemented, which run campaigns to promote the digital literacy and the responsible online behavior of these users. So these are certain, policies which have been in practice and have been quite effective.
But we've still seen a lot of increase in, instances where people have taken their lives due to social media interactions or cyberbullying, or due to this comparison culture, or the somebody does not get enough likes or shares and does not get enough engagement, so they go into anxiety, they get anxiety, or they get go into depression. But so what do you think, besides the existing policies that we have, what do you think should be implemented, or what additional policies should be implemented to, mitigate these factors, these instances?
Yeah. So, apart from the policies, the social media platforms can mitigate the negative impact on youngsters' mental health by reinforcing the robust content moderation for cyberbullying and hate speech on such platforms, and by increasing the transparency in the algorithms that could reduce the pressure to conform for the virtual approval. Also, apart from that, educational initiatives could be a good resource. They can provide resources on healthy online behavior, wherein age appropriate features they protect young users. Also, cyberbullying measures, including reporting tools, are essential. And apart from that, integration of the digital well-being tools, they can help users manage the screen time. There could be a collaboration with the mental health organizations that can provide accessible, easy accessible support when as and when required, and also actively promoting the positive content. It fosters a supportive environment for the young users, and clear reinforcement of the community guidelines maintains a very respectful online space. So through these steps, social media platforms actively can contribute to mitigating the negative impacts it has on the youngsters' mental health.